Hey folks, I have read your practicum logs yesterday and your papers today and have provided feedback to you associated with those assignments. Remember your logs, the vast amount of feedback that you're going to get is in the comment section of Typhon. You're going to get your points associated in your rubric, but aside from that, there aren't going to be many comments. So make sure that you go into Typhon and look at the feedback that's been provided. I want to remind you that every time you go into the practicum setting, you should be reviewing your goals and objectives that you developed in Nursing 623 and have an intentional plan for how your time in the practicum setting is going to be spent. Now, realizing that you're coming in on someone else's time and they're going to be doing their job and you're kind of following along, but the idea with your goals and objectives is that you will be able to have a conversation every time you meet your preceptor and talk with them about what you have left to accomplish, things that you want to work toward, and how that can be incorporated in their activities while you're with them. You will find that you will get to 626 and not have met your goals and objectives if you are not intentional and plan for how you spend your practicum time with each iteration. You can't go in and wing it, folks. You gotta have a plan in place. Other thing to remind you that by policy, by MSN policy, you have to be directly supervised by the preceptor that has been approved by the university. So it's important to know that you should not be spending time alone completing hours. You should also not be spending time with other professionals unless your preceptor is there directly with you one-to-one. Be very thoughtful about this. Additionally, when you're writing your logs, be sure that it's clear in how your preceptor is involved in supporting your efforts while in the practicum setting. It should be very obvious that you're being mentored well, or at least mentored intentionally. So be thoughtful as you develop that supportive narrative section about the logistics of your day, that you make clear what the role of the preceptor was during that session time with you and how they're growing you. We want to make sure that you're not out there having to figure it out on your own. That kind of defeats the purpose of having a preceptor. So just some feedback for how to improve that. From a paper writing standpoint, from an APA standpoint, your papers related to conflict were really well done. The only encouragement I have is two things. One, make sure you're reading the rubric before you start a paper. I'm one of those old school writers. I take a blank sheet of paper and I write down kind of an outline of what I'm going to do. If you love technology and you're good with Word, just open up a Word document and create a structure for your paper and then begin writing. It's so easy to get, especially topics like this when we're talking about conflict and we get all animated and we think about the last time we were really stressed and you start writing and then you're like, done, and you exclamation point, you sign off, and then you realize that you have forgot an important part of the rubric prompts. So make sure that you have a plan in place for double checking that what's in the rubric has been covered by your writing. The last thing to remember is that at this level of graduate level writing, you should not be turning in a paper that does not have level headings embedded throughout. It's great to see the level 1 heading starting off the body of your paper, but level 1 and level 2 headings are going to be expected throughout these last few courses. The complexity of your last paper, you're likely to use level 1, level 2, and level 3, maybe level 4 heading, depending on how drilled down you get. So if using level headings makes you a little uneasy or it's just not something you think about, I want you to begin to practice that mindset to understand that the level headings organize your writing and it guides your readers. It's not an optional thing to use with APA, it's an expectation. And as you begin to write more synthesized papers and you write at a higher level, this guide and organization is really critical for your success as a professional paper writer. Let's talk briefly about next week. Next week, you're going to take the work that you did for your quality project part 1, and you're going to put that into a voiceover PowerPoint with solutions. So remember, it's 10 to 12 minutes. The idea is to remind your viewer what your quality issue was, do a brief intro or review, and then offer 2 to 3 innovative solutions that are not currently in practice. So the keys are innovative practice that addresses your quality issue that you're not currently using. You can't talk about what you're already doing, and you can't come up with ideas that you can't find replicated and supported in the literature. So before you begin to get your PowerPoint squared away for this session, for this assignment, spend time in the literature looking at your topic and looking for what is the industry doing right now to address this quality issue. What device have they implemented? What new process have they implemented? What new technology is available? I want you to be looking at innovative practice through the lens of evidence-based research that's published. Okay? Make sure that that's your source. 2 to 3 solutions. Your PowerPoint, I'm going to encourage you to craft your PowerPoint first before you begin to do anything else. Make sure you use the feedback that was provided to you. I think it's week 3 that you submitted that PowerPoint. Go back in and read the feedback that's been provided and make sure you integrate that feedback into this PowerPoint, and then begin to plan for how you're going to do your voiceover component. I want to encourage you to do a draft using your own stopwatch or something. Something to time a dry run through. Use a stopwatch. Before you start dealing with technology, make sure you have your timing correct. And then as you process the 10 to 12 minutes of content, you can edit and add and change the volume of information you can add to stay in that time frame. And then once you've got all of your PowerPoints done and kind of your script done, then you're going to do your PowerPoint using technology. This keeps you from having to start and stop and start and stop and re-record over your slides, because multiple iterations in a slide, when you keep adding voiceover components, sometimes that creates a train wreck and makes your PowerPoint have too much size in the PowerPoint. From a megabyte size, that's what we're talking about. So do the dry run, make sure your timing and your script are done, then do your video. Make sure that you plan ample time. It's going to take a little while to get your voiceover done and then upload it into YouTube as a URL. And a URL is all that is submitted for this assignment. I should click on your URL, it should open in YouTube, and I should be able to watch 10 to 12 minutes of innovative solutions related directly to your quality issue. Okay? Plan accordingly. If you have a Mac, there's some instructions that give you an alternative to use Screencast-O-Matic as a software tool that's free to do your voiceover PowerPoint. Sometimes Macs hiccup in PowerPoint. I have a Mac and I use PowerPoint and I do voiceovers and I never have an issue. But there are some older versions of PowerPoint that grumble a little bit when we try to convert them in YouTube. So just if you have the newest version of PowerPoint and you're on a Mac, you should be good to go. If you have an older version, you may want to plan accordingly. Know that I'm here if you have questions. Remember to use the Ask the Professor link for the logistics, the who, what, where, when, when, and how kinds of things, and then email me directly with anything specific. Know that I am praying for you and that I am here. I hope you guys are having a great week. Here in Roanoke, it is way, way, way too hot. I think it's been in the mid-90s for the past couple of days. So as you can see from Gracie over my shoulder, she says no thanks in going outside. So we've been doing late evening walks, and that has definitely changed the schedule around here. I hope wherever you are that you are enjoying some part of your summer. I'll look forward to hearing from you and then reviewing your work next week. Y'all take care.